Have you ever noticed that sometimes the harder you try to win someone's attention, the faster they slip away? It's a paradox most people ignore, but it's at the core of human behavior. The more pressure you apply, the more resistance you trigger. And yet, the moment you step back, just slightly, just enough, that same person suddenly starts leaning in, chasing what they think they might lose. This isn't magic. It's psychology. And today I'll show you how to use one of the most misunderstood tactics of dark psychology, reverse psychology, to shift the dynamic and make people gravitate toward you without saying a word. Here's the first truth you need to understand. Humans have a built-in resistance to being told what to feel or do. Psychologists call it reactance. Whenever someone senses that their freedom is being threatened, they instinctively push back. That's why constant chasing, pleading, or demanding affection usually ends in rejection. It suffocates choice. But the moment you stop forcing, when you subtly withdraw and let them make the move, you create space. And space in the human mind feels like freedom. Ironically, that's exactly what pulls them back. Think about it. A text that goes unanswered for an hour feels ordinary. A text that goes unanswered for a day suddenly carries weight. What? Because silence changes perception. The absence of attention sparks curiosity. The mind starts filling in the blanks. Why aren't they responding? What are they doing? Who has their focus now? That mental gap becomes tension. And tension is the foundation of attraction. But here's the catch. Reverse psychology isn't about games for the sake of games. If you withdraw completely, you risk losing the connection altogether. The key is balance. You don't vanish, you simply pull back enough to make the other person notice the shift. It's like holding a magnet just far enough away so the pull remains strong. Too close and it sticks with no resistance. Too far and the connection breaks. The power lies in the tension between closeness and distance. So how do you put this into practice without looking manipulative? Here's the first tactic. Control the rhythm of your availability. Most people give attention on autopilot. They answer instantly, they say yes to every request, they stay glued to the person they're interested in. The result? Their presence becomes predictable, and what's predictable is undervalued. Instead, shift the rhythm. Sometimes respond quickly, sometimes take your time. Sometimes share openly, sometimes keep things for yourself. This variation doesn't just create intrigue, it signals that your time has value. And people chase what they perceive as valuable. In a moment, I'll show you another layer of this, how subtly shifting your focus to yourself can ignite the instinct in others to focus on you. But first, if this is sparking ideas for you, make sure you subscribe to Twilance. We break down the hidden rules of dark psychology, the tactics that shape behavior, and the secrets people don't talk about openly. You don't want to miss what's coming next. Now let's go deeper. Why does focusing on yourself pull others closer? Because attention is a currency. When you constantly spend it on someone else, they feel rich in your presence, and people rarely chase what they already have in abundance. But when you invest that attention into yourself, your work, your passions, your growth, you create scarcity. Scarcity makes others realize they don't own your focus, and suddenly they want it more. This doesn't mean ignoring people out of spite. It means demonstrating through action that your life is full and meaningful, with or without their validation. This tactic draws directly from psychological principles of scarcity and self-worth. Humans are wired to place higher value on things that are harder to obtain. So when you quietly redirect your energy inward, you change the story. You're not the pursuer, you're the prize. And prizes don't beg to be claimed. Here's where most people get it wrong. They think reverse psychology is about pretending not to care, about coldness or emotional walls. That's not it at all. Real influence comes from creating a dynamic where your presence is valued because it's not guaranteed. When you become just slightly less accessible, you invite curiosity. And curiosity is magnetic. The second tactic is subtle reframing. Instead of trying to convince someone of your worth directly, make small statements that leave space for them to challenge or prove you wrong. For example, rather than saying, "You'll miss me if I'm not around," you frame it differently. "I'm not sure you'd even notice if I stepped back for a while." That small inversion flips the script. Human nature kicks in. They'll want to prove you wrong, to reassert your importance. You didn't demand their attention. You opened the door for them to walk through on their own. But let's go deeper still. A powerful third tactic is redirecting validation. When you consistently seek validation from one person, you give them the role of judge. You hand them the gavel and your self-worth depends on their verdict. Reverse psychology takes that gavel back. By spreading your validation sources wider, seeking joy and recognition from friends, from new experiences, from your own achievements. Suddenly, you're not orbiting around one person. You're a planet with your own gravity, and they're drawn in whether they like it or not. Now here's something worth remembering: the paradox of attention. People often crave what they fear they're losing. When you stop handing out unlimited access to yourself, you create contrast, your presence versus your absence. And contrast is what makes the human brain pay attention. Too much of one thing and it fades into the background. Add just a little distance and suddenly you stand out in sharp focus. Of course, this comes with a warning. Push too far and you risk crossing into manipulation or emotional detachment. True reverse psychology works only when it's grounded in authenticity. You're not pretending to have value, you actually cultivate it. You build your life, you protect your boundaries, and you let others feel the pull of your independence. That's not manipulation. That's self-respect, and it's what makes the tactic so powerful. Here's another practical application: delayed gratification in communication. If someone asks for your time, don't always say yes immediately. If someone texts you, don't always answer right away. This isn't about ignoring or punishing. It's about showing that your attention is deliberate, not automatic. Every time you show that your focus is a choice, not a reflex, you reinforce the sense that it has weight. And weight attracts gravity. If this resonates with you, hit subscribe to Twilens right now. We're only scratching the surface of the hidden forces that shape relationships, power, and influence. There's a lot more to uncover, and you don't want to miss the next moves. Now, let me leave you with the final layer: silence as power. Most people fear silence. They rush to fill gaps in conversation, they over-explain, they overshare. But silence, when used with confidence, is one of the strongest forms of reverse psychology. Why? Because it forces the other person to lean in, to fill the gap, to reveal more than they planned. Silence creates imbalance, and people chase equilibrium. They'll talk more, reveal more, invest more, just to remove the tension you created by doing nothing. That's the essence of dark psychology. Sometimes the strongest move is the one you don't make. So here's the truth most people miss: you don't need to push, to chase, or to demand. The trick is learning how to pull back strategically, just enough to create tension, curiosity, and desire. When you do, you flip the script. Instead of being the one seeking validation, you become the one who is sought. Instead of trying to hold someone close, you let the invisible strings of psychology do the work for you. Because in the end, people aren't obsessed with what's easy. They're obsessed with what they feel they might lose. And when you master the art of reverse psychology, you stop being the chaser. You become the prize.